Hello, and welcome to the world of Pokemon. My name is Professor Noki, and you're watching Pok-education on Noki Jr. Today, we will be discussing Pokemon evolution, what it is, and how it relates to our real-world evolutionary parallels. As you are watching this video, you probably are aware, or maybe you're not, that Pokemon evolve as they grow, or even sometimes under very specific circumstances. What is this process of evolution though? And do all Pokemon evolve in the exact same way, or even for the exact same purposes? Firstly, we must analyze our understanding of the term evolution, and what it means when we refer to it regarding Pokemon. According to dictionary.com, evolution can mean any process of formation or growth, such as development. In our living world, there are many examples of natural changes that happen to a wide variety of different creatures. Some throughout the transitions of its lifestyles, think a tadpole turning into a frog, or similarly a caterpillar into a butterfly. Some changes take place slowly over the course of many generations as the creature adapts and changes to its surroundings. Similar to cave-dwelling crustaceans who no longer have a purpose for their eyes, or even the centers of their brains that focus around vision. So throughout their evolutionary process, have actually begun to lose those elements of their physiology. While yet other changes are a lot more spontaneous and situational, much like the evolution of the poison-resistant hybrid mice recently discovered in Germany, who were created through the breeding of general house mice and their Algerian cousins. A process that usually can't take place in nature, but in this situation did, and created a hybrid mouse that is poison resistant in the houses of Germany. Another example of this would be the human influence on the microbacteria that exists in our world, such as now the very terrifying concept of antibiotic-resistant microbes, or even on a bit of a larger scale, the advent of pesticide-resistant insects because of the overuse of the pesticides in crops. Many of these are very similar to the changes that Pokemon themselves go through, both naturally and via the influence of their human trainers. A bulk of the evolution that takes place in the Pokemon world very closely parallels the first example of evolution that I presented, and quite simply regards the maturity of a Pokemon through its life cycle. Think a Charmander slowly growing up to become a Charizard. In these examples, the first stage of the Pokemon is essentially just its adolescent form, and the final stage of the Pokemon being its grown adult form, with that middle stage generally representing that transitional form that takes place in between adolescence and adulthood. Like in our own world, this is generally the most obvious type of evolution that we can measure and understand, even impacting our own lives as we watch the growth of our children into adults, or even think back on our own development. As theorized by many, but probably none more than one of my favorite fellow YouTubers, Birdkeeper Toby, there are many Pokemon that seem to share common ancestry with one another, or have even developed from older Pokemon altogether. This is a clear indication of our second example of evolution, being slight changes that occur over the course of a long period of time, which usually happens due to environmental factors that require the creature to change in order to survive. Similar to how Pokemon such as Lapras, Caracosta, or Blastoise all seem to have branched off from one another at some point along their ancestral line, most likely due to the differing environments in which they inhabited. In our own world, this can be seen through pretty much most species, including our own. Birdkeeper Toby perfectly symbolizes this ancestral development in his Magical Species Tree of Life poster, which outlines how most Pokemon can be categorized by their shared ancestral traits. Next, for the seemingly rarest, but overall most intriguing type of evolution, which happens nearly spontaneously, and usually due to some extreme circumstance or by direct influence of humans. There are plenty of examples in the living world of creatures adapting or developing mutations due to extreme circumstances that they are put into, like with the aforementioned poison-resistant mice, or even creatures with close proximity to human chemicals and waste. This is represented in Pokemon mostly via the elemental stones and other obscure items such as the Steel Coat. In these situations, a Pokemon's entire physiology is drastically changed, due to its close proximity with the energy from these items, specific locations, or even some while being traded to other trainers. There really isn't a solid indication as to why some Pokemon seem a lot more sensitive to these specific circumstances than others. Though for one of the main examples, Eevee, we may be able to gather that it has something to do with a Pokemon's rather unstable overall physical composition. It would appear that these Pokemon are simply unable to reach their full potential and peak form without the energy that is put off from these objects and locations. Similarly, and as a bit of a bonus type of evolution, one a little bit more difficult to draw parallels to our own world with, I would be absolutely remiss if I did not include Mega Evolution. This evolution is very different from the others that I previously mentioned, as it is only temporary, lasting the duration of only one battle, though can happen over and over again with each new battle. During Mega Evolution, some Pokemon are known for having drastic physical alterations, while others change a lot more subtly. And this does tie in somewhat with the aforementioned spontaneous and situational evolutions, as the use of a specific energy-inundated item and the bond with a human trainer are required in most of these situations. And though we have yet to learn for sure, it does seem that the upcoming Dynamax and Gigantamax evolutionary forms that are set to be released in Sword and Shield also fit into the same group as the Mega forms as a temporary type of evolution. Evolution has always been an extremely intriguing topic to me, allowing me to play ancestral detective and let my brain consider all of the possibilities of what once was and how it led to what now is. Pokemon as a whole has always been built around this intrigue and the joy of playing part in the development of something and then seeing it reach its full potential. What type of Pokemon evolution interests you the most? Please let me know in the comments down below, and I thoroughly hope you enjoyed this lesson in Pok-education. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, this has been Professor Noki signing off for Noki Jr.